She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm gonna comment on that.
Talk to me.
Ooh, welcome back to another episode of Footy
God.
with the boys. Oh, that was a beautiful intro, Nick. I don't know what you're on about. We will
That's
have
one of
a
your worst.
preview today. A lot. Oh, Nick, please. That was one of my best, really. In the comments, let it be known how great that was. Today, we're talking about the Gunners. We're talking about the Toffees. And they have some massive matchups. We're just 4 weeks in. This is the fifth game. And these are some massive matchups for our teams here. We'll get through the rest of the Premier League. You guys prepped for the weekend. And the U.S. men's national team corner and lock of the week as always. But first, boys, the champions. How was that, Nick? Hit the notes?
Pretty solid. That's better.
Not bad.
Ah,
The
there you go.
return of the Champions League, as our producer sings a beauty of a melody there. Boys, new format here. It's a slightly different. We don't have the group stage. We have 8 different matchups. You're matched up against teams from each different level, so you'll still have somewhat of an even playing field here. But you'll be able to see some different matchups first day to day. And the Americans were all fucking over it. Mr. Weston McKennie found himself back in the starting lineup. We'll get a little bit more into that later, as well as Christian Pulisic is just a baller. Mike, what caught your eye out of Champions League today so far?
Yeah, unfortunately, didn't get to watch a whole lot. Just had to watch the highlights. Bayern scoring 9. Definitely caught my eye. Harry Kane had 4 of those. That's a lot of goals. A couple of Americans, Weston and Pulley. Gotta love to see that. And then an American on the bad end, Ledesma, got cooked by Yildiz on Juve's first goal, which is also a fantastic goal. Shout out the young Turkish dude. Give that one a watch if you haven't seen it. Oh, and big Bobby Hendrick. Nick, give a little love to Hendrick.
What'd he do?
Banger.
Another goal.
Banger. Dude. Third goal. Kid has aura. Champions League aura.
Fuck that kid.
Have you has that all turned around on your hate for Endrick here, Nick, and think that he just continues to score goals? Is it shifting any tides within you?
No, I was like very into Endrick when he first dropped the like that first photo in Brazil where every photo just looked like it came from 60 years ago. Like that. He had aura. And then I actually watched him play. And I mean, what is he? 17? He looks 12. He looks like, I don't know, just a kid out there running around. They're calling him the next great Pele. I mean, I'm out. I don't care if he scores. I think I'm just going to perpetually be out on him until Arsenal sign him, or I'm okay being wrong on this one if he ends up being generational. I don't mind.
I don't think he's going to be the next Pele, but I think he has a hell of a lot of talent, and he scores some bangers, if anything else. Boys, we do have some bangers.
He also just got married.
Matchups.
How about a congratulations?
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
Oh, who got married?
The girlfriend, Hendrick.
The young
man.
man.
He has like a bunch of rules
married?
with his girlfriend. Yeah, he has a bunch of rules with his now wife about like a bunch of things he could and could not do. It's a weird situation going on there.
Can you imagine marrying someone who hasn't had their growth spurt yet? That's nuts.
He's marrying a man who's making a shit ton of money.
Not 5'8", brother.
He's making an investment in a short king. It's interesting to see how that will pan out for dear old Endrick. Best of luck to the boy. Boys, some bangers. Wow, 5'8", short king, Endrick out there. That's okay. He's not 5'8". Okay, not important in footy to be that tall. Some good matchups though in the Champions League coming up. We have Manchester City versus Inter Milan. That'll be an amazing matchup. Atletico versus RB Leipzig, and Atalanta versus your team here, Nick, Arsenal. It's a pretty damn good matchup as well. Which one are you guys looking
this
forward to the
website-
most, Nick?
This website is so shit.
We'll make sure to put a complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you agree with Palmer, get in the comments. Call this website
comments. Go contact the
Listen,
Champions League.
I'll have my eye on the Atalanta game, obviously. Atalanta versus Arsenal in Italy. That's the one I'm going to be locked in for. Be curious to see who's going to be tossed out there in the starting lineup. I am praying for an Ethan Wyneri debut in the Champions League. That will feed families.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good matchup. Atalanta knocked off Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League final. Arsenal
They did.
are used to playing on Thursdays in Europa League, so it's a good matchup there.
That is wild that they put on Thursdays. That's so out of pocket.
That is
That's
pretty
not
fucked to have Champions League games
pretty
on
much.
Thursdays. It's gonna be right at home. Arsenal has an advantage. This
Arsenal,
year,
yeah,
baby.
Arsenal are going to be in that slot every week. I know it. Piss me off.
They say, "Holy shit, we were trained for this, boys. This is our time."
Hey,
Mike,
the Champions League admin on Twitter loves Arsenal. Dude's posting Arsenal every other week. Love that guy.
they love their Premier League teams for any of the UEFA competitions. Like Europa League used to be posting so much Liverpool shit last year, and they have their times messing with the fans. Mike, who would you say are the favorites of this Champions League? If you could lay them out here, and Nick, we can kind of add in or take away from what Mike says here.
I mean, Real Madrid, duh. Man City, for sure. Bayern's got to be up there. And then I think Barcelona is going to edge back up in there. They play on Thursday as well. So a little Europa League action, dude. I'm excited. We play Monaco. I think it's a favorable matchup.
Balogun's about to shit down your throat. Nick, who do you think are some dark horses?
Hey, you heard it here first. Mike likes to edge to Barcelona. I do think that the favorite has to be Madrid. I mean, they added pause. They added Mbappe. I mean, I guess Endrick, whatever. Screw that kid. But yes, I do think Real Madrid, just the pure aura that they have in the Champions League, will always be the favorite until they're not. Man City has the best roster in the world, so they should be up there. I don't think Mike misplaced anything there. I don't know. There's always a surprise team in that Final Four, and I'm trying to figure out who that surprise team could be this year. Also interested to see what PSG can do. I know they're perennially failing, but I like the youth idea that they went with last year, even though it didn't pay off. Maybe a little bit more gelling together that squad, a little bit more maturity. Hopefully, we can see them in the Final Four. I think that would be good for the people.
I did
like
ask
Arsenal.
for some dark horses, but I understand you were distracted by Mike edging to Barcelona. So, Mike, why don't
PSG's
you
a dark horse.
Run us through some dark horses here? Who do you think is maybe a dark horse candidate to make it at least semifinal here?
PSG, not a dark horse, man. Too much money. A dark horse, a legitimate one, I think, is Aston Villa. First time back in the top competition for a while. I like their squad. They attack super well for a lot of goals. I think they have the depth this year to rotate enough. We'll see. So I like them. Other teams, Leipzig, I think could do something. But there's not a whole lot of dark horses. I mean, everybody who I consider
Leverkusen,
it's tough, right? Because they haven't been in Champions League in a while. But can we consider them a dark horse after the season they just had?
I think
yes,
so.
they're a dark horse to win the Champions League.
Okay. Well, then certainly, because they're phenomenal and they still have all their best players.
I mean, Dortmund hasn't changed much of last season. I think you can still consider them, although they just made it to a final, still a dark horse type team. Just based
Inter
off
Milan if we're doing that.
Inter Milan is not a dark horse. I would say they're one of those top teams. I would put them with that same group.
Champions League final.
Yeah, but Inter, I think, is a different level. Is what I'm saying. They're dominating Serie A, made it to a final, and continually have been good. Dortmund, I feel like, had that magical run, but I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
They're dominating everywhere else. It was kind of an outlier for them, but
How about Slovan Bratislava? Any hopes for the Slovakian outfit?
They're just a favorite. I mean, they're not dark at all.
Favorite, yeah, can't be dark horse.
8-0 in the group stage.
I will say that I think Dynamo Zagreb might have a big bounce back performance after losing by 7 and allowing 9. Some would say allowing 9 is historically bad because it is the most conceded. But some would also say scoring 2 goals versus Bayern Munich is quite the accomplishment in the Champions League. So, listen, take it as you will. We're a Dynamo type team over here. But let's get into the Premier League.
You can't have a comeback without a major setback, baby.
Hey, that's what they say. That's what they say. We're just delivering the news. Don't shoot the messenger. Let's get into a massive Premier League weekend here. And Nick, we start with the beautiful kit that you are wearing, the Arsenal Gunners, going up against, not have to find them far in the table from them, Manchester City. A matchup of 1 and 2. 2 points between them. So this one will determine who is at the top of the table if there is a winner. Is there going to be a gap, or is Arsenal going to take over the lead? Nick, it's an away game here. What do you want to see? Obviously, still some players out, but you get Rice back from suspension. Who else do you want to see in that starting 11? And what do you need to see from the boys in order to slow down what is a machine of Manchester City right now?
Is it weird that I'm not really that nervous about the guy who has 9 goals in 4 games in Erling Haaland? Like, I know he's incredible, but Saliba and Gabriel have stonewalled him every time they played. I'm really not that nervous about him. And if he scores, he'll score. We're just going to have to match it. He's not going to have like 3 goals in this game. And we can come back to this clip if that ends up happening. But I'm a little bit nervous. Michael Oliver just announced the official ref for this game. Should have sent Kovacic off last year. Did not. Twice he should have sent him off. Did not. So a little bit scared there. Also the same guy who got paid like 50 grand or something to ref a game in Saudi Arabia. So scared about that. I think you could draw some connections, but is what it is. Well, we might be playing against 2 different people this weekend. Rice in the starting 11. Hallelujah. We'll never have to see this Party, Jorginho, Trossard midfield ever again, hopefully. Still can't believe Spurs couldn't find their way through that midfield. That is insane. I'm expecting Party, Rice, and Jorginho, honestly. That's what I think is going to happen, which is going to be a lot of lack of creativity. Listen, last year we got 4 out of 6 points from Man City. People were up our ass because they were mad that we played for a tie at the Etihad. If we come away with a tie here, I'm considering it a success. Tie away to your biggest rivals and then win the game at home. I am okay with that formula. 4 points out of 6. We still lost the league by 2 points. A loss here hurts big time. Okay, a loss, like, can't sugarcoat it. And I mean, we're going to be the heavy underdogs away without Odegaard, without some of the other players missing, including Calafiori. Expecting a big game from Kai Havertz. I think he's going to be the key to our success in this one. Jurrien Timber, who's been a beast. We've talked about him over the weekend. I expect him to have a great game. He looks good against City before he got hurt. And yeah, it's going to be if you love the nitty gritty of soccer, if you love the chess of a football match, this is going to be the game for you. We know Arteta and Pep know each other really well. These games are never as exciting as you think they will be when you say the 2 best teams in the league. It's going to be a tactical masterclass. The ball's going to bounce one way for one team, and I'm hoping the ball bounces the right way for Arsenal, and we can sneak away with 3 points. I'll be happy with a tie, though. You might see sad boy hours on Sunday if we end up with a loss.
Yeah, I think it takes rather extraordinary circumstances for a game this early in the season to be a must-win. But Nick, is this a case of a can't lose for Arsenal? Because a 5-point gap this early in the season to a Manchester City squad that looks this insane and an Erling Haaland that looks like he's a robot scoring more than any other team in the Premier League. Is that 5-point gap with a loss something that just cannot happen if Arsenal do have hopes to win the league, even this early?
Yeah, I don't know so much about the 5-point gap. Like, points can be made up this early in the league. I just think for the pure, like, a result here just really boosts Arsenal mentality. I think we're mentality warriors at this point. I'm not like worried about, the spirit of the locker room where the mindset of these players. But losing to Man City without some of your best players, it is a little bit nervy. And it's not so much a 5-point gap, but that one of the Man City games are out of the way. And so the Man City game later in the year, whether we're trailing, whether we're leading the league, whether we're tied in points, whatever it may be, it's going to be a chance to like really distance ourselves from Man City or catch up to them. And we have that same chance right now. The 5-point gap doesn't scare me as much. I do think at some point Man City will have a lull. They can't possibly keep up how they have been to start the year. I mean, unless they're just the best team
running
of all
with the
time.
jinxes, man. You are running with the jinxes.
Listen, I mean, if they're the best team of all time, then fair play. Congratulations. You won't drop a point. Good job. What are we supposed to do? It's more that this is the game that you have a chance to make up ground. It's versus your opponent. It's not so much the gap. It is head-to-head, mano-a-mano. It's big boy time.
Nick, I hate to call you out, but I feel like
matchup.
Usually you're the one that's telling these guys that you should expect and demand more. And I feel like you should be doing that here.
Yeah, I think context matters. It's an away game.
It's demanding a lot.
Listen, I said it's a can't lose.
Fucking Aston or whatever last year. I don't remember who it was, but
I told them that they should be happy with a loss last week. Palmer, your shit doesn't track. Shut up.
When they were down in the dumps.
Yeah, well, that was after months of them giving a free pass. Listen, it is a can't lose. That is for sure. It is a can't lose. I will be happy with a tie, though. I'm not going to apologize for that.
Yeah, and Mike, like I said, it takes extraordinary circumstances to find yourself in a must-win this early in the season. Everton may be finding themselves in those extraordinary circumstances. They have 0 points 4 games in, and they have had 2 games where they had 2 goal leads. They have 0 points from those 2 games. I mean, if there is not points against what is another relegation candidate in Leicester City this weekend, I mean, the alarm bells are ringing, and they're ringing loud as can be. How are you feeling now, a little bit further out from the Villa result, about the performance that maybe can come out here against Leicester? We were able to score against Aston Villa. Can we close out a game versus Leicester? And, I mean, a loss here, how much leash does Deitch have left? Because 5 games in, 0 points. Is that not grounds for firing right then and there?
I mean, I've let go of the leash, dude. The dog is in the road and it's on oncoming traffic. Like, put him down. Put him down. I mean, it's misery. We fucking lost to Southampton today, lads. Yeah, it was a PK shootout, but we lost to Southampton. We lost to Southampton.
Oh, no.
Our Carabao Cup is over. Our season is over. I mean, it's all just over. What is there to play for anymore? We're playing for survival once again. That's the name of the game. It's against Leicester. Yeah, we played a rotated side today, but we actually incorporated some of the players I think are better. So that's worrisome. Michael Keane once again started. I don't know what's going on, but that dude's always in the lineup. Horrible. I don't have any hope, dude. My hope's gone. I say I get my hopes up every week. I'm done. It's done until I see something. I don't believe we'll win a game. I don't believe we'll get a point. I don't think we have the mindset. I don't think we have the quality. And I certainly don't think we have the manager. Sean Deitch, he's convinced me many times. It's a fucking ugly style of play. I'm okay with that when it gets results, when it works, when we're defensively sound. We're none of those things at the moment. We concede goals. Yeah, we've scored some, but it doesn't matter if you're not seeing out a match. You can't play 20 minutes of a match well, and we're barely putting together a cohesive half. I just need to see something. I think Leicester is a better opponent. I think they're got more quality than us. I think their star players are better. And I fully expect them to win this match.
Wrestling.
I mean, that is simply kind of how it is, the state of Everton right now. I don't know if there's anybody that they're really favored against. As we saw, we lost to Southampton. So if you're going to say anybody, it would be the other team with 0 points. And it does not get done. Sean Dyche, like you said, Mike, brought in for playing a very shitty style of football. Hard to watch as a fan from a actual football, beautiful play type style. But when it gets results, you don't care. When it does jack shit and you look terrible doing it, there's really nothing to fall back on. It's not beautiful and losing. It is ugly and losing. Not really anything positive here for Everton. This certainly a massive, massive game for him to potentially stay in this job. Oh, please, Lord Jesus.
You need a point
to be able to close
in the
something.
job. I mean, it's required. I just don't have any faith that we'll get it. I mean, like, I don't know how to believe in this team anymore.
I didn't have
Everton's
faith
gonna win.
at 2-0 versus Aston Villa. At 2-0 versus Aston Villa, I texted the group chat, please do not blow another 2-goal lead. And then they fucking
Why'd
did.
you do that? Why'd you go ahead and do that?
And then they did. Hey,
Everton's gonna win this game.
I don't have faith.
They're gonna win.
Everton could be up 7-0, and I would still not believe that they're going to
Oh
win
my
because Leicester and Jamie Vardy could come back and score fucking 8 off 18 Red Bulls in his system coursing through his veins. So it's just not, fuck. It's just not a good situation right now. It's a must win in game week 5 of the Premier League for survival here. It's a 6-pointer here in a potential relegation bout.
It's over.
This is a disaster.
Done, dude. Start the promotion chance, dude. We're coming back up next year. Get ready for that. I'm psyched.
John Texter will have us buzzing in the championship. I'm ready for it. Paramount Plus, you'll have me locked in. Let's run through the rest of the Premier League here. Let's start with West Ham versus Chelsea. A pretty decent matchup here. Chelsea were able to just barely pass the test of going up against Bournemouth, which we said would be somewhat of a test for them. This one's certainly a step up from that. West Ham looked like a decent squad. They're also looking for something to hang their hat on early in this season. So a good matchup for both sides to prove who they are. Aston Villa playing up against Wolves. Can't imagine that Aston Villa are worried too much about Wolves right now with how much Wolves have struggled. Fulham versus Newcastle. I think this could be a sneaky good matchup here. Fulham have looked pretty decent so far, and your boy ESR kind of cooking for Fulham over there, Nick.
Yep.
Southampton versus Ipswich. If you are in a bad place mentally, this is one you want to avoid because it will send you some dark, dark places. This will not be a fun matchup to watch. Not good football being played here. But you may see Ed Sheeran. So if you're a big Ed Sheeran fan, keep an eye out.
Ipswich gets their first 3 points today.
I mean, that's not a bad prediction. That might be
they
one
might.
for the town.
Yeah.
They might.
We'll have 5 after
one
this
of them
weekend.
is going to have more than a point on the year. So there you go. Spurs are facing off against Brentford. Loki think this is a pretty even matchup here. The Bees have not looked bad this season. Spurs have not looked great. So I think this could be a big proving ground for both these sides. Liverpool, after going down early in the Champions League, came back with a good performance versus Milan. They're trying to bring that into the matchup against the Cherries this weekend. We'll see how they can fare after their first drop result in the Premier League under Arne Slot. Manchester United going up against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have not had the greatest start to the season, just saving a draw versus Leicester last week. Going to need something here versus Manchester United to get their season back where they're wanting to go. And Manchester United coming off of a 3-0 win and also winning by a shit ton in the Carabao Cup. So listen, they're scoring some goals. Anthony got on the score sheet today. So maybe he's back. Maybe he can spin his way back into the Manchester United hearts. And finally, we have a wonderful matchup here of Brighton versus Nottingham Forest, which, if you asked me about this 2 weeks ago, I would say this is pretty obvious who's going to win. But Nottingham Forest are one of the last unbeaten teams in the Premier League with a very good Brighton squad with Fabian Hertzler having that team looking awfully well. So, boy, sneaky good matchup there. What games catch your eye, though, Mike?
Brighton Nottingham Forest definitely catches my eye. I think it'll end up being a little bit of a stinker, maybe a 0-0 draw, but it's appealing to look
Catches
at
your
right
eye
now.
because you think it's going to be a stinker?
Yeah. That's just me
Okay.
being an absolute pessimist, dude. My fucking Everton fandom's leaking into all aspects of my life, so everything's gray right now, dude. Nothing nice.
All right. Nick, maybe a game that's not a stinker. What are you looking at?
Dude, I think we have a really good slate this weekend. I can't believe
we
you picked
do.
Nottingham Forest, Brian. Dude, this West Ham Chelsea game, West
That's what I was
Ham
saying,
has got to get some shit together because and Chelsea's a good opponent to do it. I think we're going to find out a lot about either team. I'm going to be locked into Spurs Brentford. I'll tell you that. That is upset city right there. Bees are going to be buzzing. And then, I'm going to stick with it all year. Fulham. Shout out to the boys. They have ESR. They have Reese now as well. Shout out to Reese Nelson. Scored his first goal for Fulham today. I'm gonna be locked into the former Gunners. So that's Arsenal Junior over there, and we're cheering for them against those cheats over at Newcastle.
Also, Liverpool Bournemouth, another great matchup there. So we're blessed.
And the Man U Crystal Palace. That'll be fun, I think.
God damn, it's a good weekend for football.
It's a good slate, yeah.
It is,
and he picks Brighton Nottingham.
I'm a football connoisseur. What can I say?
It's
not on Peacock either, so I won't be watching.
I think Brighton Nottingham could be a pretty good game, a decent matchup of some underrated teams. But to say I think it's going to be a stinker as your reasoning is certainly something. That was could be a stinker. That's why you chose it. All right. Let's move to our U.S. men's national team corner, where we go back to the Champions League that we talked about at the start of the pod here. And it didn't take long for the U.S. men's national team to have some things to cheer about as Weston McKennie, from the depths of the Juventus locker room, out of the project. It takes 1 month for this motherfucker to make his way not just back into the project and into the squad, but to start in the Champions League for them. And not only does he start, but he comes in and he scores a goal for Juventus in this game. They played against PSV. PSV obviously packed with Americans. Tillman and Ledesma get the start. Pepe came off the bench. Tim Weah also came off the bench for Juventus in this one. So 5 Americans in the same Champions League game for the first time ever. 5 Americans in a Champions League game is crazy, and certainly would be a highlight and a headline if it weren't for Captain America for AC Milan scoring within 3 minutes versus Liverpool. He now has 5 goals in 5 games at all competitions for AC Milan, 2 goals, 2 assists in Serie A, and now the 1 goal here in Champions League. Now Milan, as their season has gone, ended up losing that game 3-1, but Christian Pulisic continues to just be the star of that team. And Nick, I don't think you can say that he's the most talented player on that squad. Obviously, you have a Rafa Leao, a Theo Hernandez, Mike Mignon. But in terms of performing and who's the most consistent player, which for a long portion of Christian Pulisic's career was the main knock, that he wasn't able to be consistent due to whether it be injuries or just performance, he is the guy at AC Milan right now. He is the guy that is scoring week in, week out, and their main real option. What does this mean for Christian Pulisic in terms of just where he's at in his career, with his play style, and what it means for the U.S. moving forward, that you do have somebody that consistent at such a high level?
Listen, it's fantastic for him and it's fantastic for us. That much is obvious, and it goes without saying. I don't think it's crazy to say he is the most talented player at AC Milan. I am very down on this U.S. group. I am not down on Pulisic at all. I think he has now proven it for over, 16 months now he's been at this level. That is a very long time in football. Rafa Leao, I get he's like a more appealing profile, but are we sure? Yeah, are we sure he's talented? I don't know. Pulisic's amazing. Theo Hernandez, Mignon, I get those shouts. But again, he has been their best player. He shows up on the score sheet most consistently. And what else do you want from your attacker? That's the number one thing you need to happen. Goals and assists, by the way. So I don't think it's a far shot to call him the best player on Milan. And I'm very happy. Too bad they couldn't take away the 3 points. Milan seems shaky this year, but very happy for his performance, and I'm sure Poch is viewing him as what he is, our best player and our leader.
I stand that, dude.
Poch, you stand
Pulisic,
that.
number 1 at Milan. Leao has that like alien speed. So yeah, you're like, holy crap, he's got to be the better player. But Pulisic, I mean, that goal was class. He took the ball 30 yards and slots it bottom corner. That's serious talent. I mean, that's a class player. And he's been doing it consistently, like Nick said, all season. Hopefully Milan figures it out because as a team, they're looking dog shit, but he's phenomenal.
Yeah, that is the one thing he will have to help figure out is that team is not working great under Paulo Fonseca right now. That has to be figured out as soon as possible. They have a game against Inter Milan this weekend, so does not get any easier for AC Milan. I believe they've lost like 6 or 7 straight to them. Not good for a rival there. But boys, Pochettino, every interview that this man does or interview about him comes out makes me more and more happy. As JT Batson on Football America has revealed that in their conversations with Pochettino, they had talks about him being the coach after 2026 and said that there was interest in both sides, but of course wanted to make sure that the performance is there in the World Cup in 2026 before signing for longer. But did confirm, yes, the interest is there for both sides for a long-term appointment, a long-term job here past the World Cup. I mean, is that promising to hear, or are you worried about that? Obviously, I know people have some very different opinions on how long managers should be in charge of national teams, but for Mauricio Pochettino, if we only had him for 2 years, at least in my opinion, it'd be a bit like, fuck, are we going to be able to get anyone close to his level after that? And seeing that he's maybe interested in staying around makes me think that he can really have his hands in a lot of development for the U.S. Mike, what are your thoughts on Pochettino having some interest in staying after the 2026 World Cup?
My initial thoughts are I don't really care. I'm so hyper-focused on the 26 World Cup and having a good tournament and doing something with this group of players. If I take a step back, yeah, I think it is important. Maybe some real structural changes can happen in the soccer federation, which is important, which is needed. And like you said, keeping the profile of the job quite high so we can attract a big name if he does depart. That is important. But I think that's more on the federation as a whole to make those changes and to stay appealing. That's not him. I really just want him to be a great coach for 2 years. And after that, if he continues, great. But my focus is now.
Yeah. Nick, your thoughts on the matter of Pochettino potentially staying longer, at least the interest, what that might show about U.S. soccer?
Yeah, Mike's right. It's a conversation for another day, but just right off the bat, the fact that he had interest in the job in the first place and took the job is a huge deal.
Sure.
And so it is very, I guess you could say it's promising that he would be willing to, after seeing how things play out, to, go another 4 years. As much as we hate to say it, there is still a chance that this hire does not work out for reasons that we've talked about before. So if he gets grouped in the World Cup, well, I don't want him to stay for another 4 years. Like, let's get someone else in there. And if he does really well and he starts, maybe getting acquainted with some of these soccer federation guys that we have here at the United States, who knows if he's going to want to stay. So it's definitely a conversation for another day, but you can't paint it as anything other than positive. He seems all in on the job. He definitely could have. He had other offers on the table, and he picked this one. So that is a big deal. Yes, we're paying him quite a bit, but he could have gotten more elsewhere in an at a European club. So I think it's ultimately a good thing. I also think, goddamn, I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I can't wait till this October camp.
I cannot wait till October camp. And even on that, Nick, when you're saying he could have chosen a lot of other places, JT Batson did touch on that. They asked him about a buyout in there and if they were worried that he might leave. And he said that was one of the reasons why it took so long is they did want to make sure he was fully bought in. And he was fully bought in. And as you could kind of see in the press conference, he was thinking very deep into it, had a full presentation for them when they initially talked about it, about what he thinks of the player pool and everything. So not worried about that. And JT Batson maybe leaking something about Manchester United reaching out. He said that they knew that he would have the eyes of potential other national teams, and prospective large clubs were reaching out to him about soon to be vacant head coaching spots. Is that maybe saying that Manchester United was reaching out, doing their homework a little bit beforehand? Maybe that's a little slip by JT Batson, but we'll leave that to discussion. You guys let us know what you think of that. But we'll move forward here past Pochettino, at least for the moment. We'll talk about him plenty before this October camp, because why not? I love the man. Let's get into the lock of the week competition, and let's update here on the scores, because, of course, right after we decide to post how amazing our record is of locks of the weeks for all of us, is the week that we have our worst week. Mike chose Liverpool over Forest 3-1. Pretty sensible pick, but Nottingham Forest are the best team in the goddamn league all of a sudden. So they ended up winning that one, and Mike gets 0 points from it. Our league leader, at least for that moment. Nick expected a little bit more scoring in that one, but still gets the result right that the Gunners beat their rivals Spurs in the North London derby. So he moves up to a tie with Mike in first at 4 points. And I thought, shit, Brighton, Fabian Hertzler doing so well, they'll beat lowly Ipswich Town. Nope, a draw for them. So get that one wrong, and I stay in last by a solid 2 points. So as a former champion, this season has not been treating me too hot. But this week is where it all turns around. So Mike, I'll let you and Nick give your picks before I give my beautiful pick that will have the score right and everything, and even everything up. What are you going with, Mike?
Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 2. Give me the draw.
I can't wait for this to be 0-0 and
with
get
a brace.
the point.
I'd take it.
This is a shitty 0-0 matchup that you still get a point off of.
Marcus Rashford's informed, dude. And Mateta is 2.
He is.
Purple patch incoming?
Purple patch. Big purple patch.
Marcus Rashford is back. Nick, what have you gone with here?
Listen, I mean, you guys are this close to jumping off a ledge. I don't see it the same way. We've talked about it. I've been riding with the boys all season, and I'm riding with you boys this weekend. Give me Everton 2, Leicester 1. This is really a win-win for me, because either, we're happy on the pod, we get to talk about some wins with Everton, or I can blame you two idiots for making me miss a point. So that's what I'm going with. Give me the first one in the league for the Toffees.
Hey, listen, we're either all happy or all upset. So now we're all on the same page here. I appreciate the ode of confidence, as you have not gotten a result wrong so far. So we'll see what that means.
Until last week.
You know what that means.
All right, and neither did I until week 2 and 4. But don't say that. Knock on some wood right now. My pick, though, I have gone with Arne Slot and Liverpool with a 3-1 win over the Cherries. I think not getting that result versus Nottingham Forest is going to have them coming back with a vengeance in this one. They looked pretty damn good against Milan, breaking down what is, albeit a not great Milan squad so far this season, but still a lot of quality in that Milan team, and I think they'll get it done here. Saying 3-1. Give me those 2 points. Give me that scoreline. Get me back into this bad boy. But Mike, we're signing off. Still a lot of Champions League, some wonderful matchups in the Premier League. What are you guys leaving off with here, Mike?
You know what? Fuck it. Nick's right. Everton's going to win this weekend, dude. Big 3 points coming in. I don't care what the lineup is. I don't care what the tactics are. 3 points. Big goals. Big boy performance. Lockdown in the back.
Big dog.
Nothing's going in. Boom-ba-clot. Let's go, Nick. Let's ride.
We ride, baby.
We ride, baby. Until next time, subscribe, turn on notifications, like, and peace.
Up the toss.